everybody and welcome to Eksine channel. Now, today is Tuesday, let's check out the grammar. Okay, yesterday I gave you a task, actually I gave you a question like why were those sentences like that? Why did we have the subject first and then the verb in the question, right? Today we want to read about those and we want to learn about those. Now, the indirect questions are what we want to talk about. Indirect questions are questions that are part of a bigger sentence. For example, instead of where are the elevators, we might say, would you mind telling me where the elevators are? Now, when a question is part of a bigger sentence, that becomes an indirect question and the place of the subject and the verb change. Okay, now the place of them changes. Now, what can we see here? For example, would you mind telling me where the elevators are? Okay, as a matter of fact, it does not have the form of a question anymore, but it will look like an affirmative sentence with the WH word starting it. Okay, so for example, where does he come from becomes, would you mind telling me where he comes from? Not where does he come from, where he comes from. So does would be taken out of the sentence and we will add an S to the verb, just like an affirmative sentence in the present simple, right? So now it's quite easy. Just change it into a normal sentence, just change it into an affirmative sentence. Now, how about this one? I say where the elevators are. Would you mind telling me where he comes from? What is if and whether here then? Good question. So, sometimes in English we have two types of question. One is the WH questions, that start with one of the WH words, where, when, what time, or all of these. Or we can have a sentence that starts with the auxiliary verb که با فعل کمکی شروع میشه and not a WH verb, okay? These sentences will be answered with yes or no, so we call them yes-no questions, okay? Now, if a yes-no question is part of a bigger sentence, we do not have a WH word to start it with, so we started either with if or whether. Let's have a look. Would you mind telling me if I can find some taxis? Would you mind telling me whether I can find some taxis? Okay, that was all it. Now, I want you to write as many sentences, WH questions and yes-no questions as you can, and then turn them into an indirect question. Or yes, so the start of the sentence can be, would you mind telling me? Or can you tell me? I don't know if. Any of these, okay? Do a lot of practice. Thank you very much. Let's go and check Liz. Goodbye.